The Harrison family's annual charity gala was in full swing, crystal chandeliers sparkling above Silicon Valley's elite as they sipped champagne and congratulated themselves on their generosity. I stood at the service entrance of the luxury hotel, clutching my invitation, the one my stepmother had reluctantly sent after my father insisted they had to include all family members. "Miss, deliveries go through the back," a security guard started to say, then noticed my dress. Not designer but carefully chosen to fit in with the wealthy crowd inside. "I'm a guest," I said quietly. "Olivia Chen. My father is." "Oh, the stepdaughter." His expression changed to one I knew too well. That mix of pity and dismissal I'd lived with since my father married Catherine Harrison 15 years ago. Mr. Harrison's first marriage. Before I could respond, my stepbrother James appeared, champagne glass in hand. "There you are, Olivia. Using the main entrance again." He smirked, perfectly groomed in his custom tuxedo. "You know mother prefers family disappointments to use the service door. Less embarrassing for everyone." I bit back the urge to tell him exactly what I thought of his mother's preferences. Or to mention that the family disappointment had just closed a deal worth more than his annual trust fund payment. Instead I smiled tightly. "Hello, James. Come on then," he gestured toward the kitchen entrance. "Though I don't know why you bothered coming. It's not like you can contribute anything to the charity auction. Still working at that tech startup, aren't you?" The tech startup was actually Nova Industries, one of the most successful private technology firms in the Valley. I'd founded it 6 years ago, operating through holding companies and subsidiaries to keep my name out of the spotlight. But to my family, I was just the stepdaughter who'd walked away from the Harrison family business to play with computers. I followed James through the kitchen, dodging waiters and trying not to let my dress brush against any stains. This was the 3rd year I'd been forced to use the service entrance at my own family's gala. Catherine's way of reminding me that I wasn't really a Harrison, no matter what my father's marriage certificate said. "There you are." Speaking of Catherine, my stepmother swooped in as soon as I emerged into the ballroom, her designer dress probably worth more than most people's cars. "I thought we discussed this, dear. The main entrance is for proper guests." "I am a proper guest, Catherine. I have an invitation." She waved her hand dismissively. "Only because your father insisted. Really, Olivia, you could at least try to fit in. Look at James, youngest VP in Harrison Tech's history. And your stepsister Amanda just made partner at her law firm. While you're still playing with that little computer company of yours." I took a deep breath, reminding myself that she had no idea Nova Industries was about to revolutionize the tech industry with our new quantum computing breakthrough. Or that I could buy and sell Harrison Tech 3 times over with just my personal assets. "Hello, sweetheart." My father appeared, giving me a distracted kiss on the cheek. "Glad you could make it. Though you really should use the proper entrance next time." "Dad." "Harrison." A loud voice boomed across the room. "Your boy James is a genius. That deal with Asian markets is going to save the company." I watched my father's face light up with pride as he hurried over to join the conversation. The same pride I'd never seen when I told him about my own achievements. Not that he knew about most of them. "Speaking of the Asian markets deal," James said smugly, "we're announcing it tonight. Mother thought the gala would be the perfect venue. Show everyone that Harrison Tech is still the family to beat in Silicon Valley." I hid my smile behind my champagne glass. I knew all about the Asian markets deal, or rather its imminent collapse. My analysts had flagged serious problems with the partnership weeks ago. But James and his team had been too busy celebrating to do proper due diligence. "Ladies and gentlemen." Catherine clinked her glass, drawing everyone's attention. "We have a special announcement. James, darling, would you do the honors?" James strutted to the small stage, adjusting his bow tie. "Thank you, Mother. As many of you know, Harrison Tech has been expanding our reach globally. Tonight, I'm proud to announce our biggest partnership yet, a $2 billion deal with Asia's largest tech consortium." Applause erupted. I checked my phone discreetly, seeing the urgent message I'd been waiting for. "Furthermore," James continued, "this deal ensures Harrison Tech's position as the Valley's leading innovation company for years to come." My phone buzzed again. "Right on schedule." "Excuse me, Mr. Harrison?" A hotel staff member hurried to the stage, whispering something in James's ear. I watched his face go from confusion to shock to panic. What do you mean they pulled out? He hissed, not realizing his microphone was still on. His words echoed through the suddenly silent ballroom. Catherine rushed to the stage as my father's phone started ringing. The perfect moment was shattering in real time. James. My father's voice was tight. What's going on? They. James was sweating now, his perfect composure cracking. The consortium just sent notice. They're terminating all negotiations. Something about fundamental instabilities in our technical infrastructure, which my team had discovered weeks ago. The same issues James had dismissed when lower-level engineers tried to warn him. This is impossible, Catherine declared, but her voice shook slightly. James assured us everything was perfect. I watched as their world started to crumble, remembering all the times they'd made me use the service entrance. All the times they'd dismissed my career choices. All the times they'd treated me like an embarrassment to the family name. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from my CFO. Nova Industries' offer is ready. Should I send it? I looked at my family, watching them scramble to control the damage. They had no idea that their salvation was standing right here, being forced to use the service entrance at their own gala. Send it, I typed back. But make sure it comes from our shell corporation. It's not time for them to know who's really behind the offer. Then I slipped quietly toward the exit, the main entrance this time. No one noticed me leaving. They were too busy watching the Harrison tech empire begin to crack. As my driver held the car door open, I heard Catherine's voice floating from the ballroom. James, darling, please tell me you have a backup plan. I smiled, settling into the leather seats. Oh, there was a backup plan. They just didn't know it was mine. Where to, Miss Chen? My driver asked. The office, I replied, thinking about the meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. I have some papers to prepare. The Harrisons are about to learn a very expensive lesson about judging people by which entrance they use. The next morning, Harrison Tech stock was in free fall. I watched the numbers drop from my office at Nova Industries. The real one, not the small decoy office my family thought I worked from. The offer has been sent, my CFO Marcus reported, handing me a tablet with the latest figures. They should be receiving it any minute. Right on cue, my phone lit up with messages. First Catherine, then James, and finally my father. I ignored them all, instead pulling up the security feed from Harrison Tech's lobby. The chaos was visible even through the cameras. Executives rushing around, phones ringing non-stop, James pacing in his office while running his hands through his perfectly styled hair. Miss Chen. My assistant Sarah appeared at the door. Your stepbrother is here. He's quite insistent about seeing you. I smiled, remembering his smirk at the service entrance last night. Send him up. But first, make sure everything is in place. James burst into my office minutes later, his designer suit wrinkled, his face flushed. He stopped short when he saw where I was sitting, behind a desk that cost more than his car in an office bigger than his at Harrison Tech. What is this place? He stammered. My office. The real one. I gestured to a chair. Please sit. I assume you're here about Phoenix Corporation's offer. His eyes narrowed. How do you know about that? It just came in this morning. I know a lot of things, James. Like how your Asian markets deal was doomed from the start. Or how Harrison Tech's infrastructure hasn't been properly updated in 3 years because you've been funneling the maintenance budget into vanity projects. He sank into the chair, realization dawning. You're connected to Phoenix Corporation somehow. You could say that. I turned my tablet around, showing him Nova Industries' corporate structure. Phoenix Corporation is one of our subsidiaries. One of many. Nova Industries? His face went pale. But they're worth billions. They're the most innovative tech company in the valley. You can't be the founder and CEO? I finished for him. Why not? Because I'm just the embarrassing stepdaughter who has to use the service entrance. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. Your father and Catherine are in the lobby, Sarah reported. Send them up. I turned back to James. Might as well have this conversation with everyone at once. They walked in moments later, both stopping short just like James had. Catherine's perfect makeup couldn't hide her shock, and my father looked like he'd seen a ghost. Olivia, he whispered. What is all this? This is Nova Industries headquarters. My company. I stood up, smoothing my designer suit. one that cost more than Catherine's entire wardrobe. The same company that just offered to buy Harrison Tech through our Phoenix Corporation subsidiary. Impossible, Catherine breathed. You're just a disappointment, failure. The embarrassment you make. Use the back door. I clicked a button, bringing up Nova's financial reports on the wall screens. Actually, I'm the CEO of a company worth 12 times what Harrison Tech was worth before last night's collapse. My father stepped forward, his business instincts finally kicking in. The offer. It's from you? Phoenix Corporation is offering to buy Harrison Tech at 50% above its current market value. Very generous, considering your stock is still dropping. I sat back down, enjoying the way they all remained standing, uncertain. Of course, there are conditions. What conditions? James asked, his voice hollow. First, immediate removal of current management. That means you, James. Your incompetence nearly destroyed a company that took 3 generations to build. He started to protest, but Catherine put a hand on his arm, stopping him. She'd always been good at recognizing where the power lay. Second, your family's voting shares will be placed in a trust. You'll retain ownership but lose control of day-to-day operations. You want to take our company, my father said quietly. No, Dad. I want to save it. But on my terms. I pulled out 3 folders. The paperwork is ready. You have 1 hour to decide. Or what? Catherine's voice shook slightly. Or I let Harrison Tech collapse, then buy it for pennies on the dollar when it goes into bankruptcy. Either way I win. The only question is how much you lose. They huddled together, whispering furiously. I turned to look out my window at the San Francisco skyline, remembering all the family events where I'd been treated like an unwanted guest. All the times Catherine had made me use service entrances and back doors. All the years of dismissal and condescension. We'll sign, my father finally said. But I want to know why. Why build all this in secret? Why let us think that I was a failure? I turned back to them. Because you needed to show me who you really were. And you did, every time you made me use the back door, every time you dismissed my career, every time you treated me like an embarrassment to the family name. We're still family, he tried. Are we? Was I family when Catherine made me use the service entrance at every event? When James mocked my little computer company? When you stood by and let it all happen? Silence fell. Even Catherine had the grace to look uncomfortable. Sign the papers, I said quietly. Then get out of my office. Use the main entrance. I'm not as petty as some people. James was the first to crack. This isn't fair. You tricked us. No, James. I succeeded despite you. There's a difference. I stood up again. Oh, and one more thing. The annual charity gala? It's being moved to Nova Industries headquarters next year. I expect you all to use the main entrance, assuming you're still invited. After they left, Sarah brought me coffee. That was impressive. Though I suspect the family dinners will be awkward from now on. There won't be any more family dinners, I replied, watching their expensive cars pull away from my building. At least not ones where I'm treated like a second-class citizen. Over the next few weeks, Harrison Tech transformed under Nova's leadership. We fixed the infrastructure issues, modernized the systems, and restored the company's reputation. The stock price stabilized, then began to climb. James took a job at a smaller tech firm, though I heard he no longer bragged about his business acumen. Catherine's social circle buzzed with rumors about the stepdaughter who'd outmaneuvered them all. And my father. He tried to reach out several times, probably hoping to repair our relationship now that he knew my true worth. I let all his calls go to voicemail. 3 months later, Nova Industries hosted its first charity gala. The guest list was carefully curated. No Harrisons except my father, who I seated at a table far from the main stage. Catherine wasn't invited. James was welcome to watch the livestream. As I stood at the podium, announcing Nova's latest innovation in quantum computing, I caught my father's eye. He was watching me with a mixture of pride and regret. Too little, too late. Success isn't about which door you use to enter a room, I told the crowd, though my words were really for him. It's about what you build once you're inside. And sometimes the people who force you to use the back door don't realize they're giving you the perfect view of their vulnerabilities. The audience applauded, not knowing the true meaning behind my words. But my father understood. I saw it in the way his shoulders slumped, in the way he finally recognized what his wife's petty cruelty had cost him. Later that night, alone in my office, I looked at an old photo from one of the first Harrison galas after my father's marriage. Teenage me standing awkwardly by the service entrance while Catherine directed me to use the back door. I'd kept it as a reminder, a motivation to prove them all wrong. Now it was just a relic of a past I'd overcome. I dropped it in the shredder, watching it disappear into confetti. Sometimes success isn't about proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about showing them exactly how right you could be, if only they'd let you through the front door. But by the time they realize their mistake, you've already built your own building. With your own doors. And they only open for people who know your true worth.